An original podcast from podlatino.com.
In the Gulf of Chiriquí, off the Pacific coast of Panama, there is an island few speak of and even fewer dare to name. Officially, it appears as Isla Pájaros on outdated naval maps, but to the locals of nearby Boca Chica, it's remembered simply as La Isla que Ardió, the island that burned. The story begins in 1955, when a group of American researchers funded by a private marine institute established a small biological station on the island. The team, led by Dr. Walter H. Berridge, consisted of 8 scientists and assistants. Their goal? To study the migratory patterns of rare seabirds and test sonar mapping equipment in the reef channels. They were dropped off by boat on July 6th and scheduled for pickup 20 days later. What happened in those 20 days remains one of the most disturbing unsolved disappearances in Panamanian history. When the boat returned on July 26th, the entire research camp was gone. Not abandoned, gone. The structures, tents, equipment, everything had been reduced to ash. The sand was blackened. The trees on the western edge of the island were scorched up their trunks. There were no bodies. At first, the boat captain believed the island had been struck by lightning, but the weather had been clear. The fire, investigators would later report, had not behaved like any normal blaze. It had moved in a spiral, starting at the center of the camp and radiating outward, almost deliberately. There were no signs of explosion, no residue of chemicals or accelerants. The U.S. Embassy launched a quiet inquiry. Families were notified, but told very little. A brief article appeared in a Panamanian newspaper with the headline, "Scientists Missing in Island Fire." And then the story disappeared from public view. But rumors didn't stop. Fishermen claimed that, for weeks after the event, strange lights could be seen flickering from the island at night. A low hum, like metal grinding against water, echoed from the trees. Birds avoided the area. Even the wind seemed to go around it. In 1962, a journalist named Marta Velázquez attempted to investigate. She hired a small boat and arrived on the island with a guide. What she found was unsettling. The forest had grown back, but in unnatural ways. Tree trunks twisted counterclockwise, roots bent above ground like ribs. And in the center clearing, beneath a thick canopy, she found remnants of a stone circle, not part of the original camp, covered in moss and ash. She took photographs. The negatives were fogged beyond recovery. Before she left, her guide urged her to say a prayer. He refused to anchor the boat. Her article, published in a small magazine called Revista Horizonte, was pulled after 2 weeks. The magazine's editor claimed it had been sensationalist and misleading. Marta left journalism shortly afterward. Over the years, the island's coordinates were removed from most updated maps. Officially, it was deemed environmentally hazardous and restricted by both Panamanian and American maritime authorities. No scientific explanation was ever made public. No records of the original research team's mission remain in U.S. archives. But one piece survived. In 1974, a retired radio operator named Luis Montero came forward with a recording. He had been stationed in David, Chiriquí in 1955 and monitored shortwave communications for weather and military transmissions. On July 18th, he recorded a fragment of audio coming from the Gulf, a weak, fading signal that repeated the same message in English over and over. Fire is not the end. They are still here. They are still here. Luis kept the reel hidden for decades. When it was finally digitized in the early 2000s, The background revealed something chilling. A second voice, barely audible, speaking a language no one has yet identified. Linguists tried. AI tried. Nothing matched. Some call the island that burned a myth. Others say it was a cover-up for failed military experiments or illegal testing. But those who have sailed near it swear it exists and that the air around it feels heavier, charged. A mystery in the water, an echo that resists time. And every few years, usually in late July, someone reports a flicker of light on the horizon just west of Boca Chica. A brief orange glow. Then darkness again, as if the island remembers.